Welcome to Primetime Analysis. I am your host, Victor Onyango. The Wednesday's demonstrations have become a serious talking point both in Kenya Kwanza and even globally. Just in the afternoon today, the UN Human Rights Commission released a statement condemning the excessive use of force by the police in Kenya. And they also called for alternative dispute resolution strategies to be adopted to ensure that everything that is done within the country is undertaken through the rule of law. But when you look at Kenya Kwanza, they are jittery on their side, and they are very annoyed and shouting from the top of cars from all places where they go. Today, William Ruto and his brigade were touring the larger Mount Kenya diaspora, and they were in Mai Mai Hill, where they stopped and talked to Kenyans. There are different statements that they made there. Also, Azimio on their part have released a new schedule for demonstrations to be carried out. And in this new schedule, they are proposing that demonstrations should be done in 3 consecutive days. And these are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. William Ruto, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, remains very helpless. By the look of things, he has gone back to his campaign mode president. And he is firing salvos to both Raila Odinga and even Uhuru Kenyatta. Listen to how he spoke.
Sahau ati kuna serikali atapata. Hakuna kitu atapata. Na mimi nataka nimwambie bwana Kitendawili, mambo ya uchaguzi tulimaliza. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Hakuna vile mtu anaweza kupata serikali kupitia maandamano ama fujo ama vita ama ghasia. Si ni kweli? Huyu jamaa alipanga kupindua serikali ya Moi. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Akakuja akahangaisha Kibaki, mara mkeka, mara sijui nusu mkate, mara sijui nusu nini. Ndio huyo amekuja akazungusha Uhuru mpaka ile Big Four yetu ikapotea. Akatupeleka huko BBI, ikapotea mpaka tukaingia madeni. Saa hii tuko na deni ya trilioni 9. Saa hizi amekuja ati anatuletea vita ati tumulete ndani ya serikali. Hiyo ni ndoto ya mchana, haiwezekani na haiwezekani. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Mnasemaje watu wa Mai Mai? Mnataka Adim tumpeleke Bondo? Aya, nimesikia sauti yenu sasa, nitajipanga vizuri. Huyu mtu lazima tumpeleke nyumbani. Hakuna dawa ingine, kwa sababu tukimwacha, unajua nilikuwa naona ni mzee. Sasa nawacha yeye hapo, anaanza kusema unajua mimi si mtu mbaya. Saa hii nimeona amepanga maandamano. Na mimi nataka nimwambie rafiki yangu Uhuru, hata wewe wachana na huyu mzee. Waacha kumpatia pesa ya kununua watu wa Mungiki wachome Nairobi. Wewe umekuwa rais, wewe kuwa muungwana. Tulikuunga mkono wakati ulikuwa rais wetu. Wewe wachana, uliunga mtu Kitendawili mkono tukamwangusha. Wachana na yeye, na usipowachana na yeye hata wewe tutakusafirisha na huyo Kitendawili wako. Ama namna gani jamani? Si Uhuru Kenyatta sisi tulimsaidia. Saa hii anapanga kuchoma Nairobi. Nairobi imemkosea nini? Sisi tulimsaidia akiwa rais. Ama namna gani jamani? Sasa anazungusha na huyu mtu ya sijui amemroga, sijui amemfanya nini. Bure kabisa.
Now in this analysis, I want us to look at the new strategies that William Ruto and his regime have adopted to ensure that they counter and effectively deal with Raila Odinga. You know, first of all, according to them, they have decided to change messaging. The first thing that they are doing is that they have turned this thing and they have framed it to be a Raila Odinga thing. They are not talking about high cost of living. They are not talking about the steps they are going to take to ensure that cost of living is lowered. For them, it is a Raila problem. And they are dealing with Raila Odinga according to how they want it done. First of all, in that area, I think they have missed the point. And if they have decided to narrow this thing to Raila Odinga, then they will be diagnosing and treating a wrong disease. Now, let us look at the strategies that William Ruto and his regime are deploying to deal with Raila Odinga. The first step that they have taken, if you look at President yesterday, if you look at him today, the president has been touring Mount Kenya. He went to central Kenya. He went to Tharaka. Today was passing through and going through all other places and even made a stop at Mai Hill and gave speeches in those different stopovers. So the first strategy that they have deployed to deal with Raila Odinga is to get out and decampaign Raila Odinga. They are decampaigning the message that Raila Odinga has been sending. My only problem with what they have decided is that they have decided to narrow this thing to Raila Odinga. And that for them, the main reason why Kenya is facing the upheaval that is going on is because of Raila Amolo Odinga. If you ask anybody who understands, not even anybody, but any Kenyan, you will get the message that these demonstrations that are going on, they cannot be narrowed down and be simplified to be a Raila Odinga thing. And anybody who tries to diminish the meaning of these protests is dealing with the wrong thing. William Ruto has decided that the thing he's going to do is to decampaign Raila Odinga and moving around across the country, especially in their support bases, to incite the public against the person of Raila Odinga and the Azimio team. So that is the first strategy. They are going around to decampaign Raila Odinga. Tomorrow, he is supposed to be in Nyanza, and especially Homa Bay County. I'm waiting to see what he will be saying there. Because if you look at how he has been talking, in fact, he's gone back to his Mutu wa kitendawili rhetoric. I want to see how tomorrow he will be addressing the public in Homa Bay County. So their first strategy is that of decampaigning Raila Amolo Odinga. The second thing is that in the process of decampaigning Raila Amolo Odinga, they have gone back to link Uhuru Kenyatta to these demonstrations. For a long time, William Ruto has not been directly calling the name of President Uhuru Kenyatta and accusing him of anything. But if you look at how he spoke yesterday and how he has spoken today, the president is categorical that Uhuru Kenyatta is sponsoring chaos in Nairobi and that he wants Nairobi to burn. And he has stated specifically that we supported you and we did not try to bring your government down. But right now, you are not Mungwana because you are out here using Raila Odinga and financing Mungiki to burn down Nairobi. This is also a rhetoric that William Ruto is using to go against the campaigns or the demonstrations that have been witnessed countrywide. My only question about that, will this messaging that they have adopted succeed? Because I think for them, it is not a question of cost of living. For them, it is not a question of the finance bill. For them, it is Uhuru Kenyatta, it is Raila Odinga. I do not know whether this message will really resonate with the Kenyans. But the only thing that will happen is that there is a possibility that some gullible guys or gullible people in central Kenya will buy into that. People in Kalenjin nation are not a problem because we know that the country is highly ethnic. And I even heard Kimani Ichung'wah today say that this is not a government of William Ruto. This is our government when he was in my Hill. Meaning, he is trying to shape this thing differently so that it is not looked at it as a William Ruto problem, but it is a problem that is theirs. And therefore, they are going to get out to protect their government. This decampaigning and linking Uhuru Kenyatta to these demonstrations remains a strategy that William Ruto and his team have adopted recently and going forward. The third strategy that William Ruto and his team are deploying is using state-sponsored goons and then blaming it on Raila Amolo Odinga. First of all, what they do is paint Raila Odinga as a violent person. Yesterday and today, William Ruto has spoken categorically about Raila Odinga. And he has said that Raila Odinga alisumbua Moi, akajaribu kupindua serikali yake, akakuja akasumbua Mwai Kibaki, akamzungusha kuhusu nusu mkeka na nusu mkate, akakuja akazungusha Uhuru Kenyatta hadi wakakopa madeni mingi hadi deni ikafika 9 trillion. Sahi sasa amekuja anaanza kuleta mafurukano na makelele katika jiji letu. That is how William Ruto talked about it. And for me, that has been a campaign tool that has worked. But it is a tired line. I do not think there is any Kenyan who right now is buying unga at 230 Kenya shillings, while last year I was buying it at 150 Kenya shillings. Anybody who can think that the problem of Kenya is about the violence of Raila Amolo Odinga. And they have tried so much to paint him to be that. And this is why they are sponsoring goons. Look at the destruction of flower beds that were in Expressway. I want to tell you, why was the police not there? In the first instance, Expressway has people working on that line. And anybody who goes destroying anything in that area, they will have the first thing to do is to call police and they will respond immediately. But look at the time they left those people to do those things, destroy everything, drop them down and run away. These were organized crime. And that crime was organized by state so that they can have something that they can now preach about. I have always told you that the demonstrations that were conducted on Sabasaba Day that were very peaceful became a very serious problem to the government because they saw Kenyans walking from Kibra to Kamkunji, from Embakasi to Kamkunji, without anybody destroying anything. And the media highlighted this. This was not a good message for them. And therefore what they did, that in the second demonstration that they knew was going to happen, they unleashed goons to go and destroy properties so that they come back and blame it on Raila Amolo Odinga. I do not know how much this is going to go. I do not know how far it will go. But one thing I am thinking is that Kenyans will not buy into this, their narrative. Remember, the UN has also spoken, and the UN has said that they are very much concerned about the excessive use of force by the police. They have warned the police to be proportionate in using force. And wherever they are demonstrations, they are supposed not to use live ammunitions. This is a good message to Azimio, because the international community has witnessed and is aware of what is going on. If the government proceeds with their threats, then they must be sure that this is going to really paint them badly in the campaign that William Ruto has been doing globally to sell Kenya. So that is something that William Ruto and his regime have opted to do. Paint Raila Odinga as violent, sponsor goons to ensure that this narrative sells to Kenyans, and especially to their strongholds. The fourth strategy, and a very sad one, is instigating tribal conflicts. For 2 days now, there has been serious problems in Sondu, the Kericho-Kisumu border. Youths from Kericho have been transported to Sondu to come and maim Luos. And this has resulted into people fighting each other. Kisumu Governor Anyang' Nyong'o has released a statement. Nothing has been said from the Kericho side. I believe this is a strategy whereby the people from Kericho have seen that Raila Odinga and his people are fighting against their government. And therefore they want to retaliate by creating a conflict. And I was very much perturbed when I heard what Raymond Omolo is talking about. Raymond Omolo, a Luo, a PS of Interior, is taking and talking about this conflict, that it is historical conflict that cannot be attributed to things going on right now. We know that there has been some conflicts about the border, but why did it just start on the day of Maandamano? William Ruto must tread very carefully, because he might think that he will use his people to create chaos and fight and kill Luos in the border, but that might not end up giving him what he wants. And he might end up to be the president that led Kenya into serious anarchy by creating and instigating tribal conflicts in the country. I do not know whether these strategies will work. I do not know whether they will achieve what they want to achieve. But for me, I believe what they want to do might not go well with Kenyans. They have narrowed down about these issues to refer to it as a Raila Odinga problem. But Kenyans have said unanimously that the problems that we have are beyond Raila Amolo Odinga. And the government must find a way of addressing them effectively and conclusively. That's my thought. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what your take. Let's get down communicating in the comment section. Please remember to subscribe